California politicians at it again. Let's listen. Check it out. So I get this here on there. Play.
To pay more at the pump starting next month. A last-ditch effort in Sacramento to put the brakes on a costly gas price increase came to an abrupt end today. Good evening. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Senate Bill 2 would have rolled back new clean air regulations that are estimated to hike fuel prices by 65 cents per gallon.
CBS 8's Richard Allen is live in Kearney Mesa with more on that and the additional tax increase on gasoline coming at the same time. Richard?
Plus fines, all kinds of stuff.
Marcella, Senate Bill 2 proposed by State Senator Brian Jones from San Diego would have avoided those recent changes to California's low-carbon fuel standard, leading to, some analysts say, a price hike of 65 cents a gallon.
Politicians voted against this. These are not just Gavin Newsom. This is the whole political spectrum of California. Voted against this, guys.
Alan, as you mentioned,
so
a price hike that many
I hope you can afford another $2 to $3 a gallon.
Ice 10, nose 23, motion fails.
Wednesday morning, a
23 to 10.
Senate Bill 2 came to a quick end after state Senate Democrats unanimously voted against it.
Unanimously.
My Democrat colleagues the opportunity to protect Californians' wallets, their constituents, and they chose not to.
Republican
the vote, Democrat State
tried to put that through.
Gonzalez, the state Senate majority leader, took
so is this... Mind you, we already have the cleanest gas in the world, and they're trying to make it even cleaner. Make sense? Is this what you guys want running your state? Really? It's going to create more homeless. Let's talk about this in a minute.
Earlier failed to move forward in committee, said this was his final chance this legislative session to repeal this gas price hike. He says he was surprised that not even one Democrat voted for it.
Not even one Democrat voted for it. None of them.
All Californians that the Democrat Party in Sacramento is not serious about solving the affordability crisis that we're experiencing in California.
There you go.
Right now.
Democrats have supported these new air quality regulations passed last fall by the California Air Resources Board, which will limit the amount of carbon in fuel by increasing penalties for refineries that produce
increasing penalties as well as the increasing cost of making the fuel.
Like this San Diego couple.
It's a struggle, my friend. It's a struggle.
They say any
who's affected by this? Is it the rich?
Less money for essentials like food and
No.
housing, as well as discretionary spending on their grandkids.
It's like you gotta have it. If
Who can afford electric cars? Is it the rich? Is it the poor? Can you afford electric car? If you're poor, can you go out and buy an electric car to avoid this? No. Yeah, it's the working class. So let's have a discussion about this.
For a full tank, what is like 60, 70 bucks? For a full tank, full charge, I only spend like $15, $20.
This isn't me making this up. This is on the news.
For those drivers who've yet to go electric, some say it's time to speak up.
So when we really get sick and tired of what's going on and we come together as one, I think that we can put a cap on this.
That's what we got to do. We all got to switch. We got to go from this state has to go red. There's no other way. So if you're a blue collar worker, listen up. We're going to talk about this. July 1st is the first tier. There's more things happening. Refineries are closing because of politicians. So buckle up. Right, so the question is who's going to pay this? Okay, and hopefully you guys could hear that portion of the video. Maybe I'll crank up the volume on it. But as much as I can. Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to pay it? People go, well, then just leave California. Okay, so let's say a bunch of people leave California. Now, the people who are remaining, you're going to have to pay more of the lion's share. Think about it that way. So that means that you're going to have even higher taxes. So yeah, go ahead and leave. Don't let them hit the door in the ass and all that stuff, okay? That means you're going to have to pay even more. So you up for that? You up for that kind of an increase in price? This is what it's going to create, okay? This is really unfortunate. The people who pay the gas tax are the middle class and the poor. Why? Because do they have the money? Can you make a $500-600 a month car payment and for or whatever, probably more than that now for electric car with those interest rates, probably $1,000 a month car payment. I mean, some of the people that use old cars, they only make a couple $1,000s a month. They can't take half of their wage and pay for a car. They're gonna have to live in the damn thing. It's just so. This reality is going to be that a lot of people that have no money already are going to have even less. Okay, and so your construction workers, somebody says, oh, well, they should all take transit. Okay, yeah, sure. Construction workers, you should take transit to work. Okay, so, could you imagine me getting on a construction worker, getting on a subway with a 28-foot ladder and 4 big giant toolboxes full of tools and 4 5s of paint to go paint a building? It doesn't happen that way, guys. We'll have them deliver. It doesn't work that way. We don't have the infrastructure like New York City does, okay, for that sort of thing. And we won't, okay? We don't have New York City. We don't have a 2-mile section where we've got all these tall buildings. We have a 50-mile section where we've got lots of things. The only way to deal with that is have, use your own transportation to get to work and bring your tools. So what, are you just going to just not paint your house anymore? You're just going to say, let the plumbing leak, all those things. All those guys need trucks to bring your stuff to your house to work on it. So there's just unrealistic thinking out there, okay? And the people who are affected, so if you're middle class, this is you, okay? And if you continue to vote blue, this is what they're going to do to you, okay? They're going to make it impossible for you to live here. So you're going to be going somewhere else. That's number one. Look at a big portion of the movie industry, of the entertainment industry, let's put it that way, moved to Georgia. Okay, it's not really that. I've worked in Georgia. It's hot and steamy in the summer. It's cold and kind of snow here and there in the winter. Not a lot of it, but it's not the greatest place to live. When all these companies moved on and they go, oh, well, they're going to come back. Okay, let's say you're a business, right? They're going to come back, right? Oh, they'll come back when they find out, how it is. No, they're not coming back. Let me tell you, if you're a business and your state government went and screwed you over royally and made it so impossible for you to do business in your state that you just picked up and moved to Georgia, are you coming back? I mean, what kind of reality is that? But yet so many people think somehow these guys, they're going to come back because, it's so much better weather here. Their businesses are trying to make a profit, and you got an anti-business state. You got a governor that says, those companies have to pay. So he fines them. This is what's happening with refineries. So they're increasing the fines. So this 50 cents a gallon or whatever is only for the price at the pump right now. And if the refineries don't meet their emission standards that are required for them, they're going to fine them. Who's going to pay that? Do you think that the oil company is just going to shell it out of their profits, especially when refineries are closing? They're closing in California. There's 2 refineries closing in California. They're trying to do everything they can now to backpedal and get rid of that. But you got all these politicians that are going, oh, those oil companies are making record profits. Maybe not in California because they're closing their businesses. Think about it. A company doesn't just close its business because they're making so much money. Let's close our business. We're so rich. We're just going to close. No, they're going to continue to make that money if they're so rich. This is complete foolishness, you guys. If you guys believe these politicians, you really just need to have a wake-up call, because these guys are they're so far out there, And I heard I was watching a little clip of one Democrat. She was going, "Hey, they're closing," and they're going, "Well, they're making all these record profits." She goes, "Wait a minute, well, we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about they're going to close. What do we need to do to keep them here?" So that was actually somebody that had some reasonability to them, but most of them don't, you guys. And you guys elected these people. You know, we need to come together and say, no, we are not electing any more of you Democrats because you guys are getting completely crazy. It's like, you know, the Democrats weren't like this 25 years ago. They just had a different way of thinking, and they were always a corrupt party, okay? But they had a different way of doing things, and it was more government and less. And now we've gotten into this climate stuff, and they're just really, really, really pushing the envelope to the point where the cost of, is unaffordable. When I say unaffordable, that means, let's say you make $2,000 a month. Okay, you make $2,000 a month. Unaffordable means that it takes $3,000 a month to live when you only make $2,000. That's unaffordable. That's unattainable. That's something you can't do, and they're not looking at that. Okay, so. Is that your best interest at heart? You guys, come on, man. This is going to go, I mean, they're talking. I've looked at a couple of videos, and I don't know if it's true or not, but you guys can comment below. There's a comment section. And again, this is my opinion. And if you don't like it, that's okay. But they're talking $9, $10 a gallon. Yeah. So, and then, then you go get an electric car. What do you think they're going to do electric power? If everybody's on electric power, then who has control? One entity. One entity. So, like, for instance, Southern California Edison. Okay, Northern California is PG&E, right? And they can dictate how much your electric bill is going to be, and all they got to do is lobby someone in the state and say, "Hey, man, it's costing us too much money, blah, 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 to make this stuff." And guess what? One entity can totally just wreck you, make electric power so expensive that you can't even afford to do it. Where you have oil companies, you have thousands of different oil companies all making oil, and it's very regulated, and it's hard for them to do that. Now, a couple of things that we'd like to see happen. And the only way this is ever going to change is you got to get rid of, number one, CARB. CARB has to go. And if you guys don't know, California Air Resources Board, it doesn't mean that we're going to pollute. It doesn't mean that we're going to have bad air. The standards created by CARB in the beginning were good. Okay, now they're to the point where they're just chasing zero. Okay, and so what's happening is that cost is impossible. Okay, it's you make $2,000 a month and your bills are $3,000. That's impossible. You just can't live. All right. So that's what they're doing on a state level. All right, where they're making the cost of everything go up so high that you can't live. I mean, just the same thing they've done with housing. They've done this stuff. It's not only just happening in this gas. Okay? They've done it with regulation on building. So they put in these laws. Clean. Low NOx air conditioning. Now your air conditioner used to cost $3,000 to replace it. Now it's $10,000, okay? Because you got to get a low NOx system, or you have to get a heat pump, which costs even more to operate, and it's all electric, so it's all going to come from one power grid. Completely crazy, okay? And all that comes from natural gas anyway right now. So what's the point, okay? And the thing is, they made these low energy efficient roofs. Instead of a roof costing $10,000, now they're $20,000. So all these things add to the cost of living. It all adds to what your landlord has to charge you for your rent, because he has to replace that roof every so often. He has to have the plumbing repaired, and they have to use certain kind of pipes. And he has to have the air conditioning fixed. And instead of $3,000, it's now $10,000. And some air conditionings are much more than that. But what I'm trying to say is it's made an unaffordability crisis, meaning it's impossible for people to afford it. And people are blaming the landlord when it's really not the landlord, it's the government. You guys, it's the government that's created this problem. And it created something called cost push inflation in California, where the cost has gone up because of government regulation. And that's an inflation. It's a real inflation. It's not just the government printing dollars. So we've got that going on as well. So we have the effects of COVID and effects of all the restrictions and all that stuff and all the money that was printed from that. And then in California, we have the additional cost push inflation from the government. So we, listen, you guys, I don't know how many of you guys are still voting for this stuff, but it has to end. It really does. There's just, people need to wake up. If you're a middle class person, really, honestly, it's time to start researching the stuff that I'm talking about. Research it for yourself and find out, use common sense and read stuff and watch videos and, discern, find out whether you think it's true or not, okay? And research it for yourself. There's tons of information out there. Stay away from the mainstream media because it's biased, okay? And look it up for yourself. Look up data. Think about things that make sense. There's so many things that make sense, and if it's common sense, it's probably true. And make decisions based on that instead of just based on, Newsmax or Sacramento Bee, or I don't know. I'm trying to think of the stuff like that. A lot of these places that are really biased to the left. Okay, look at stuff that's on both sides, and then start making decisions based on what you see, not based on what you see on the Channel 7 news or even on Fox News. Look at their stuff and then discern what is real and use common sense. Look at it and go, well, that doesn't make any sense because it's this and that. Well, instead of just believing it. All right, because that's what's happening is people are believing the news and they're finding out later, hey, this is what you're going to get hit with, $9 a gallon. And then what you're going to do? Are you going to have time in your life? You're going to be working your ass off all the time. And you're not going to have the time to deal with it. And that's what they want. They want us to be under their control. Some people go, well, they want us to be like the Netherlands or, no. In the Netherlands and places like that, they're pro-business people. They're out. Still, they have a real leftist mentality or whatever, but they still know that business needs to be there to get that, okay, to have that income and stuff like that. So they work with businesses, even though they have a leftist mentality, okay. They work with businesses. Here, this is just like a fight. There's a fight against businesses. Oh, well, those companies, they need to pay, instead of realizing, okay, they got to make a profit. Let's let them make a profit. And then the people, need these services. They need gasoline for their cars. And we're going to have to keep it be affordable. So let's not maybe put this law through, but they did it anyway. They did it anyway. Against your will, probably. So anyway, that's what's going on, guys. Hope you enjoy it. Talk to you next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.